My understanding it was from the 80s. So when did the DEP start hassling churches to require this?
So we have always regulated churches, all churches, as public water systems. So we routinely find new facilities that aren't on our inventory. We usually find about 100 new water systems each year. We go through a list of questions to figure out whether or not they qualify. If a church only has Sunday service and they don't have a daycare center, they don't operate any other activities through the week, then the good news for that church is they don't qualify because they're only open 52 days a year, not the required 60. So in a lot of cases, churches do not get regulated by us because they fall under that 60-day time frame. But where we come across a church that is operating a daycare center, and again, remember, children are our most sensitive subpopulation, they generally do meet the criteria and need to be regulated.
So you're claiming that this has been enforced since the 80s?
Absolutely. So I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I can give you a list of daycare centers and churches that have been regulated since the 80s and 90s.
I would appreciate that
Sure.
information being sent to the committee, to my office, and we can distribute to the committee.
Absolutely. Sure.
Thank you to the members. My advice to the community at large, if you have a church and you have an official from the DEP show up at that church and they're not there to worship with you, but they're there to regulate you, don't sign a consent decree without consulting an attorney. And I would ask them to leave my property if they're there to try and regulate you. If they're there to worship, I'd invite them to stay. But if they're there to regulate, I ask them to leave and come back when they're ready to worship, because it's a church. You have First Amendment protections, and I wouldn't give those up to a bureaucrat sent to regulate. So this will be a continued debate, I'm sure. But it's interesting that it seems to have flared up more in the recent past when it's been a law that's been in effect since the 80s. So something's changed. We want to get to the bottom of what it is. So.